Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to another video. If you've been following along with the springtime in the fish room videos where they had a rather amorous male Johanni, that would be his tank right there in the middle now. Well, they're at it again. I have another 6 mouthfuls, and I have no more room to pool fish, or like fry, and I need to get that third row running again. When I originally set up this rack, it had 4 rows, and I actually originally didn't have the tanks drilled. I pulled them all out and drilled them afterwards and put them back in. Originally, I did the same thing everyone else does. I ran this off of sponge filters, all air driven. But I mean, I maintain tanks for a living, and I'm a lazy kind of guy really when it comes right down to it, so I didn't want to have to come home and have to clean individual filters and do individual water changes. So I set up the centralized system where I have this half-inch PVC with these T-valves on it. T-joints. And what I have is an end cap on the end, and I just drill it, and that is my return. This particular return right now has got a little snail in it, but they're very easy to take off and clean, and it was something that I only had to clean one filter with, and when I do a water change for the system, it's they all get water changes. I mean, there are downsides to this style, and there are definitely upsides to the other system. Now, since I started doing YouTube videos, I've watched a lot of stuff that other people have out there, and I've come up with a kind of a compromise idea, which I think I will be doing a video for once I can get the time to build the system. I'm going to do one where that's run by air, but also has a centralized water change system. A number of people have already done this. I have a variation I want to try. Won't really spoil too much about it right now because I think it's going to be a little while off yet. But I will definitely get around to that because I think I want to do a comparison between these two and show you the pros and cons, and then if you're going to build yourself a fish room, you can pick whichever style you like. Now obviously these have been sitting around for quite a while, so I need to clean them all out, so I put a bit of water in each of them. I'm just going to scrub them down here with a pad, and then I'm going to use my favorite tool, which is a 5-gallon shop vac. And it makes this job so much simpler, getting the dirty water out and getting everything prepped for the actual build part. These are the original lids I had for when it was run by air. You can see that little notch cut out at the end there. That's where the air line went in, and they fit quite nice and snug at that time. Now they stick out a bit, and I haven't bothered trying to cut them down yet. But maybe one day. Actually, I think this glass is a little too old to go cutting at this point. So here we go, we have it all laid out. I'm going to have to now make some modifications. I use the lathe to turn down one of the ends so it fits in here like this. The reason why I'm doing this is I don't have quite the right drill bit size, and I didn't want to buy one. You can also do this by using, again, T-joints and putting bushings in. But I didn't want to do that either. So here I am drilling out the end caps, and like I said, you can alter this size of this hole, so some tanks get more water, some tanks get less, depending on how you want to do that. And here I am going to cut out the holes. I just need to measure the space. I'm going to do them 2 tanks at a time. You'll see they're grouped by 2s. The only reason why I'm doing that is just too hard to juggle the whole thing all at once. And that way I don't end up making any grave errors and having to redo something. So here we go, I'm going to glue it all together. This is just PVC cement. It's very straightforward and easy to do. I use it all the time in lots of the videos, so I don't think it really needs any explanation. So these are going to be where the water leaves the tank. They're going to come to a half-inch male and female, which are going to use to clamp onto the tank. And then they're going to go down across the elbow, of course, down into where the 1.5-inch pipe is, and then it's going to flow over across to where the filter is. So I'm going to do these. I'm going to do up 2, and then I'm going to attach them. Well, actually, I'm not really going to attach them to the 1.5 inch yet, because as we go along this process, what I need to do is level everything out, just in case there's small amounts of difference in each of the cuts I did. It doesn't need to be accurate, but I don't want any low spots. So what I'm going to do is just friction fit them initially, and then after it's all in place and running properly, I'll go along and I'll use like a heat gun, dry them out, and then glue them properly into place. So there you go, that's the first one ready to go. And then what I'm going to do, actually I'm not going to show you the first one because you'll notice it's tucked in right behind where the Lazy Man's filter is, and by the time I'm squeezed in there, and there's just no way I could film it. So this is number 2 I'm doing here. I'm just putting the glue for the coupling, and then putting silicone on where the males are going to fit through the holes, and then I'm going to just tighten on the female couplings. There we go, and then just smooth out the silicone and wipe off the excess glue. And that's number 2 done. And then I'll move over to number 3, and so on and so forth. The thing I like about this system is, like I said, the ease of maintenance is the best one. Unfortunately, because of the way the water flows, you end up, like say you're going to breed guppies, for instance, I find that you might end up with a lot of cross-contamination, because there are many times I'll find a guppy either in the filtration system or in a tank that I never had guppies in before, and that's one of the bigger downfalls of this. But again, I'll get into a lot of that more in detail once I start doing the other system, and I'll do a big comparison on the two. So here it is, the returns or the outflow for the tank system's all done. The tanks are all ready for the input now, which is even easier than that. All I need to do is cut the pipes. All the tanks are the same size, so it's a uniform distance between them. All I do is put a T junction on and glue the pipes together, and then make sure after you've done the first couple, make sure that they're all pointing in the same direction. So just glue this on here, and then sight down and make sure they're even properly. And then do that a bunch more times, and then the final one will just be an elbow, because it's the final one, so it just needs to pour into the tank. Now I was originally thinking of doing 2 for the final tank because it's a double wide, but I find if I just leave off the valve or make a slightly larger hole in the valve, you end up with an even flow anyway, so it doesn't really matter much. So here we go, going to put the elbow on. That'll be the last one, and that'll be for tank 7. And then we'll flip it over, and then this is going to be the input. So this is where the pump attaches to this, and because it's in the back and the filter's in the front, I attach it at a slight angle, so that way I don't get a kink in the hose. And other than that, it's pretty much exactly the same as the other ones. So I just have to add on there you go, a male nipple attachment, and I really dislike these stickers. I know I kind of go on about this sometimes, but I do an awful lot of these things, and peeling off those things is just really annoying. So here we'll just silicone this on. You can use Teflon tape if you like. If you've watched a lot of my videos of those, I use silicone for pretty much everything that I can get away with it with. And then I'll just glue this on, and then we're all set to put the return on. This is, like I said, very straightforward. Just slide it through. Oh, those are all the end caps that are already drilled. All I have to do is slide this through, and then position it where I want it to do, and then we'll stick the hose on where the pump's going to go, and put the pump into the trickle filter. I mean, this is, like I said, this is really the easiest part for this sort of thing. I mean, obviously I already have the tanks built, but this took me about an afternoon to put together, and it needed to cure overnight, so this is, like, you can see I'm wearing a different shirt with a nice big hole in it, obviously, but it only had to cure overnight, and then it's all ready to fill up. And I promise I'm not going to show you all the tanks. That's really boring. But anyway, what I'm going to do here is nice clean water. Oh, the other thing I should mention is, because all these tanks filled up represent almost exactly a 1/3 water change, I did not turn them on and then just let them run. That's just way too much fresh water to put into the system. I didn't want to shock them that much. So I let it run for about 15 minutes, turned it off, came back a few hours later, let it run for 15 minutes, and so on and so forth until I got to the point where I was confident enough that there wouldn't be too big a shock, and then I just let it run. There we go. I've put the clamp on where the hose is going to be. It's going to feed it around and get it in position, and then put the pump on. Now, for the pumps, I tend to use these quick release valves. I think they make them for garden hoses from Gardenia. It's just easy. You can obviously use another hose clamp like I did for the other end, but then that's a little harder to get the pump off if you have, like a snail stuck in the wrong spot, or you need to change the impeller or whatever. So these are really straightforward. You just put the male fitting on, or sorry, the female fitting on there, clip it on, and then you're all set to plug it in. So there we go. They're all nice and clean at this point, and those are the new valves. Going to plug in the pump and let her fill up. And the next day after this, I will turn it all off after it's been fully acclimated and everything is leveled the way I want it to, and then use an air gun to dry it all out, and then put the PVC glue on the pipes just to hold everything in place, and then we're done. And there you go. You see the water is now the same color as all the other tanks, and it's been running now for a day. Everything's running properly. I haven't put the intake screens on it because there's nothing in the tanks. You can see the water coming in here. The only thing I noticed with this level compared to the other levels, because it's lower, there's a bit more water pressure. It's kind of nice. So anyway, thank you for watching. Like I said, if you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe, and I will definitely be doing lots of updates on this, because what I'm going to do now from now on, instead of doing individual fish videos, I'm going to do fish room updates. Yay!